While we've long been fans of Sam Fisher's covert ops, there's something about this latest mission that failed to impress us in previews and demos over the course of development. Now with the spy's trademark goggles finally tuned and in focus, can Splinter Cell Blacklist step out of the shadows for a surprise attack on our low expectations? Starting with a hit on a Guam military base where Fisher is stationed, the Blacklist is a series of threats on cryptic targets such as American consumption and American fuel, aimed at forcing the U.S. government to withdraw its troops from all foreign soil. After being placed at the head of a new team, it's up to Fisher to track down and stop the mysterious group known as the Engineers and outthink a foe that's continually one step ahead.
A group calling themselves the Engineers has claimed responsibility.
While the character seems to be getting younger and it takes time to accept anyone other than Michael Ironside in the role, the latest version of Sam maintains his gruff, assertive tone, drawing on years of experience to make hard calls when necessary. Your airborne base of operations is staffed by a small team of experts that don't always agree, and mission briefings play up these tense relationships. Some of these moments present an illusion of choice, perhaps giving you the option to delay a mission for an advisor's benefit. But things play out much the same way regardless.
You ever hear the Geneva Convention? I got rights, you know.
This flying command center serves as your hub between missions, allowing you to call for logistical support, chat with your crew, and access menus to choose missions, select upgrades, and customize your gear. However, pulling the gameplay system into this context does make it easier to overthink things. A terrorist group is threatening to cripple the country. Why is the government preventing you from buying the $60,000 pair of gloves before you've bought the $15,000 pair? Are they really going to give you extra funding because you climbed that one pipe in a brewery? Despite stretching the game's believability, the scoring system definitely pushes you to get the most out of each level. You're rewarded for 3 different playstyles. Ghost is for non-lethal takedowns and not raising alarms, Panther focuses on silent kills and evading pursuers, and Assault is all about going in loud and proud. With your actions divided among these 3 buckets, you're encouraged to focus on one particular style per run, giving you incentive to retry levels with different loadouts and techniques. That said, Splinter Cell is still primarily a stealth game. There are times when alerting the guards can result in instant failure, making the Assault style and its giant collection of guns feel more like a way to let off steam after you've beaten the game the way it's intended to be played.
If you want him dead so bad, why don't you just nuke the place from orbit?
Early footage focused on Fisher navigating dusty military zones in broad daylight, vaguely reminiscent of shooters like Battlefield or Call of Duty. There's still plenty to do in the dark, however, and there's a strong sense of diversity as you navigate a range of different environments, including a mansion in South America, rainy London streets, and speeding trains. Level designs are fairly open, giving you room to form your own plan of attack, and most missions hold optional objectives, such as laptops to search out and hack, or high-value targets to capture.
How much is Coben worth to you?
Much of the Splinter Cell gameplay remains the same, shooting out the lights, watching patrol patterns, and hanging from the ceiling to get the drop on enemies. One thing that's changed is that the game isn't as focused on sound. By consequence, the tedium of moving extremely slowly has been eliminated. Instead, it's about waiting for the right moment to quickly slip from cover to cover, with a clear HUD aiding you as you plot your course.
Dad.
How'd you know it was me?
Nobody else comes up on caller ID as redacted.
Numerous tools and gadgets are at your disposal. Sam's trademark goggles give you a couple ways to see in the dark, and you can distract guards with a noisemaker or a conspicuously placed body, or knock them out with stun guns or sleeping gas. At times, you'll even have access to a small tri-rotor helicopter capable of scouting out the area ahead or stunning someone from afar. The mark and execute system from Splinter Cell Conviction returns, but is presented merely as an option. You can choose to ignore it or simply use it to mark and track enemy movements. In fact, if you're focused on pursuing the Ghost playstyle, you'll reap greater rewards by slipping past the guards completely, rather than knocking them out.
Can you hear me?
Blacklist is a fairly lengthy game, with about a dozen campaign missions, most lasting 45 minutes to an hour. On top of this are another dozen optional missions requested by your staff. Most of these can be played alone or with a co-op partner, although a few are co-op only. While these levels tend to be shorter, there's generally less margin for error, requiring more careful planning, or at least more attempts to get it right. Working with someone else certainly takes a bit more patience, but putting a plan together and coordinating your movements for a clean result is a greatly satisfying experience. There are also times when you'll take markedly different roles as one of you takes command of a UAV to cover the other player from the skies.
Grim, I'm taking control of the UAV.
All yours, Sam.
In addition to the solid single-player and co-op missions, Blacklist also brings back the series' acclaimed Spies vs. Mercs multiplayer. Mercs play in first person with heavy weapons and limited mobility, while the more vulnerable spies can climb to higher ground, crawl through vents, and perform stealth takedowns. The specific strengths and weaknesses vary based on which mode you select. The classic 2-on-2 will be most familiar to fans of Pandora tomorrow, putting flashlights in Merc's hands and leaving spies without lethal firepower as they attempt to infiltrate and hack computers. Meanwhile, 4-on-4 Blacklist matches allow more tools and customizable loadouts, with Mercs utilizing temporary abilities like adrenaline shots that let them see in the dark. There's also Extraction Mode, which puts spies on defense as the Mercs attempt to grab and retrieve intel. Each of these modes requires players to work together to be successful. Finally, a team deathmatch option lets you switch from spy to Merc every time you spawn, making it hard to predict who might get the drop on you. While Blacklist is strong overall, we did run into some frustrating moments. Most notably, button prompts for interactions like planting explosives or hacking terminals tend to be unresponsive. There are also some woefully blatant examples of invisible walls. One of our players got stuck to a window frame, and a dash of bravado found us locked in an elevator. Despite these minor issues, however, Splinter Cell Blacklist impresses with its scope and versatility. Level designs aren't limited to paint-by-number solutions, and the game not only gives you the option to play how you want, but pushes you to perfect your playstyle. Splinter Cell Blacklist provides clear evidence that Sam Fisher needn't go back into retirement just yet.
You can't stop the Blacklist! Grenade!